Damn. Anyways, about one more minute, team, and then I'm going to get some people to share what they wrote down. Only three. 30 more seconds, team. Okay, pens down, guys. What I would love now is for one person to share something on the left that they said that they will accept, that's their standard, and something that they won't accept. And I'll go through a couple. Who wants to go first? Someone else but Sarab.
I can go.
Go for it, Angelique.
So the first thing that we always emphasize is you've got to come in 15 minutes before class and then use that time to set up, check all the equipment, make sure there are no flat balls. So that's something that we always we reiterate every time. And the second would be knowing the sports plan, the drills of the day. So we don't want anybody looking confused or using that time in on the court to discuss, what they should be teaching, because parents are watching all the time. Um, and then the third would be to make a note of all concerns and issues, and then immediately after the class, escalate that to us so that we are
Awesome.
aware of what's going on and we can just deal with that immediately.
Fantastic, Angelique. Those are really good standards. Thank you for sharing those. I like the one about coming early to class, checking the balls are pumped, checking all the equipment. That's really good. Anyone else want to share a different standard that they might have, what they're willing to accept, but also maybe what they won't accept? I think it's obvious to Angelique that Angelique's not going to accept coaches coming within 15 minutes. It's got to be 15 minutes. I like it. Anyone want to share another standard that they might have? So Rab's off mute. I know he's not shy. Come on, I want another brave soldier before Sarab comes in. He's getting ready. He's lock and loaded.
No, I was about to say, then I was like, nah, you mentioned not me. But now, one more thing that on top of what Angelique said, so is about appearance of coaches. So whenever new ones joining, we explain we have a team huddle. We explain to them your appearance really matters a lot on and off the court. So when you're entering the facility, make sure uniform is on. If you're still you got the uniform you want changing, when you change and come in, make sure you're all ready.
Yeah,
Uh, Iron polo, hair if you have long hair is tied, um, and no chewing gums. The moment you
yeah,
enter the facility, no chewing gum on the courts. That appearance really matters because that is what. One thing I tell all the coaches is the kids look up to you as a mentor.
yes,
So
yeah.
do the right thing. You don't want a parent coming to you, us, and saying that, hey, my kid is saying Coach Sarab did that, so why can't I? Don't
You
do that
know
with the coach.
that Sarab, that's a really good standard. I love the chewing gum one, and
Yep,
also I love the preparation. Hair folded back and all that for the
yep,
ladies. That's a really good standard to have, and that's professional. At the end of the day, you want professional coaches running your classes. Imagine if you got someone here out there chewing gum. They look
yeah,
bored. They look disinterested.
that's right.
We had a trial coach come in one day to our All-Star Day, and without getting into the details, he was extremely inappropriately dressed, and it wasn't a good look for our image at Boomers. So we had to kindly tell her, "Hey, here are track pants. We do need you to put these track pants on, because we're dealing with kids and we're dealing with parents." But that's just the level of standard that we have when we're operating our location, because professionalism is a big thing when it comes to coaches. Thank you for sharing that, Sarab. I'll take one more, guys. Does anyone else have a standard that they have or something that they won't accept written down that's a bit different? Come on, brave soldiers. There's no wrong answer. Ah, here we go. Rhoda. Ding, ding, ding. Go for it. Got to come off mute.
Hi everyone. Yeah, for me, I think it's just well, we just don't wanna be professional, with the high standards in the court. We have to be very careful, of the standards that how we present ourselves, when we're outside of the class, because sometimes, for example, I'll give you an example. For example, you're friends with another coach, and sometimes it's very unavoidable that you talk about little boomers while you're eating outside in a restaurant, for example. And then sometimes you talk about the kids, and sometimes you name, like, sort of mention their names. So I talk to them that it's very important that when you're talking outside, be aware of what you're talking about, and how, and the,
Yeah.
just protecting the privacy and confidentiality of of all our students that we look after. So I told them that you have to be very aware, even though you're not wearing uniform, but outside, if you're talking about little boomers, people can actually hear you, and obviously hear what you're talking about. So you have to be very, very aware of that as well, how you project yourself outside. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's an interesting standard that you bring up, Rhoda. That's an off-court standard. I think that's really important as well. How are the coaches conducting themselves off the court?
Outside. Yeah.
How are they talking about the brand? What are they saying off the court? That's a really good standard. But the main thing is, Rhoda, you got to make it you got to make it real. So when you say conducting yourself professionally off the court, what does that look like? It's like, okay, no coaches are to talk about kids in an inappropriate way or to maintain their privacy off the court.
Yeah.
So you got to put it in a way where, okay, that's a behavioral type. But I agree with you. That's really important, especially off the court. Okay. Thank you for sharing all of those standards, team. Those were all really good. So an exercise that I encourage you to do, take an hour out. On the left side is your standard, what you're willing to accept. And on the right side is what you're not willing to accept. And they've got to be concrete. Now, congratulations. You've written down, you've got a standard. Now, guess what? If you think now that you're going to announce this standard and that everybody's going to follow it, you're delusional. Because as soon as you set up a standard, it gets broken. All right? As soon as you have set a standard, it will now get broken. So please don't think that your coaches are going to follow it perfectly, because I had that when I first started the business. I said, oh, I've written it down. I've made it clear. They're going to follow it. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. So the first thing that you're going to want to do once you've got your standards is you want to embed them into your onboarding procedure. When you're hiring a coach, you must clearly cover your standards from day one. Embed them into your onboarding procedure. Because the reality is, you have no right to have a tough conversation about lateness if you never told the coach they need to arrive 10 minutes before classes. How are they supposed to know? You didn't make it clear, right? It's not their fault. You didn't tell them what your standards are in the company. And if you send them an email and think they're going to review all 10 of them, no. They're probably not going to even review that email. They're going to want to see what their pay is. You got to make sure you take the time to sit down with them and go over your standards. So your first step, once you've got your standards, put them on a nice piece of paper, put a graphic, make it look pretty, and embed them into your onboarding procedure. These are like your ethos, your code of conduct. Then, maybe, up to you, hold a team meeting before the term. Bring all your coaches together, go for a meal, play a bit of basketball, and announce your new standards that's coming into the company, what you will and won't accept. Because some coaches might already be meeting the standards, but maybe some aren't meeting the standards. You probably, in your coaching team, have a mix of some that are definitely meeting the standards and some that aren't. So I love to hold a team meeting whenever I've set new standards. Hold a team meeting, make it nice, and declare to your team these new standards that you have in your franchise. So number one, embed them into your onboarding procedure. Number two, hold a team meeting before the term. Then the best part of it, which is best meaning the most hardest part, monitor, praise, and correct. If somebody is upholding the standards, praise them publicly. What you praise gets repeated. If somebody has broken the standard or is not meeting the standard, you're going to have a tough conversation with them. I'm going to explain that a little bit later. For example, if one of your standards is arrived 10 minutes before class and a coach has been doing this for 8 weeks straight, praise the coach. I want to give a shout out to Brad. For 8 weeks straight, he has come 10 minutes before class and he's showing a high level of standard in preparing for a successful session. Well done, Brad. Praise him publicly if he's meeting the standard, because people are going to look at that and say, okay, that's important. I'm going to try repeat that behavior. I'm going to try do it. Whatever you praise gets repeated. Are we following that, team? Whatever we praise gets repeated. Now the question begs, okay, that's what I do if somebody's meeting the standard. What do I do if somebody's not meeting the standards? It's time to have a tough conversation. The one we all hate doing that we have to put off is a tough conversation. I want to give you guys a framework that you can use to have a tough conversation with a coach, because when we have tough conversations, because we're a little bit nervous or maybe we're a little bit worried about how the coach is going to take it, we might not be clear in our feedback. Maybe the coach didn't get the message that we were trying to say. Maybe we were too kind of unprofessional. Maybe we were too disrespectful to the coach. We want to have a framework that we can use to have these tough conversations. And I've got the old SEER method, SEER. Use this framework whenever you're having your next tough conversation. S stands for standard, state the standard that was set. E stands for evidence, give clear factual examples. E, expectation, reinforce what must happen going forward. R is response, get a commitment from the person. So let's start with the S and the E, and then we're going to do a bit of a role play after this, guys. S stands for state the standard. Let's go back to Brad's situation. You might say something like that. Brad, when we onboarded you, the standard we set was arriving 10 minutes before class starts. That allows us to prepare and run a successful session. Do you remember that standard? Talk about the standard S that hasn't been met. Are we following so far with S, team? Cool. See how I'm not targeting Brad? I'm not saying, Brad, what's wrong with you? Are you all right? Why are you arriving late? I'm not targeting Brad. I'm targeting the behavior that Brad's doing that isn't meeting the standard. So S is standard. E is evidence. We're 6 weeks into the term, Brad. You arrived late on May 11th, on May 18th, and on May 27th. 3 out of 6 classes. Is this something you're aware of? Who can tell me why it's so important that you provide factual evidence that the coach cannot challenge? Why is it important? This one took me a while to get. Why not just say, Brad, you've been late the last couple of weeks? Any takers?
They might deny.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Well, what do you mean, Luby? I've been coming early. I've been coming on time. I had one issue. That's it.
Well, if you've been monitoring the coaches and know the times they're coming in and take a note of it, then
Exactly right.
yeah.
Exactly right, Luby. You can't, if you say that you've come late on the May 11th, 18th, and 27th, you can't challenge that. It's factual evidence. And if you've timestamped it and said on May 11th, you came 5 minutes to class, on May 18th, you came on 4 o'clock, and on May 27th, you came 10 past 4, you really can't challenge that. But what I've noticed is if you give feedback that's very vague, hey, you've been coming late. Well, no, I haven't. You're going to get a response back like that. So you've got to make sure that you have your factual evidence ready. So S, talk about the standard that was set. E, bring the evidence to the table. Now let's start for E, expectation. So in my last message, I said, is this something you're aware of? Now, I don't know what Brad's going to say. Brad might say, there's school traffic. There's been school traffic. There was an accident on the M5, on the M1. My teacher's been holding me back. I don't know. Brad might come up with some excuse. Have you guys had this before where you've spoken to a coach and they've blamed everything but themselves for coming late? Has anyone experienced this before?
I've had a bit of an opposite one. So
Elaborate.
one of the new coaches, always on time, always doing the right thing. The first time got late. I asked him if all's well. He said, nah, everything was all right. It is just my bad. I missed the alarm and this happened. I won't repeat it. I'm like, okay, make sure. Because you're still on time. You're still a few minutes early, but next time make sure you don't miss it out like that. The next time, it didn't happen for many times. And when the second last classes, uh, he was again running late. He knew that I'll be some of the weeks I've been there continuously, and he knew that I may or may not be there. He called the other coach first. Then he called me as well. That's sort of I'm stuck. I'm not being late, and he just outside school. Like he's not a senior, just a 19-year-old kid. And like, so I have been on road. Somehow the traffic is just bad. I'll be there. I'll still be there early. I'll not be late, but I'm just letting you know that I'm just running a little bit late. We had the conversation again when he reached there, but this time I was a bit amused on that part that okay, he didn't give me an opportunity to mark him down. He came up front straight away, said, "Hey, this is what happened to me, but I'm still
Yeah.
coming. I'm sorry, I'm trying to take care of it." So that
So
is what happened.
my next slide actually answers your question, Sarab.
Right.
Everybody has a bad day,
Yep.
right? If somebody has come late and they say, I'm sorry, I'm late, somebody passed away and you crucify them, you got to have a conscience, you know what I mean? Like
Right. Yep.
everybody's allowed a bad day,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to do is separate a bad day from a pattern.
That's right.
There's a big difference between a bad day and a pattern. And in the situation that I'm giving you with Brad's case, this was a repeated behavior. And
You're
to be
right.
honest, based on what you're saying, yours one sounds a little bit like a repeated pattern as well, right?
Yes.
So what you got to be able to distinguish is the coach having a bad day or is this a pattern that has formed? And the only way to know if it's a pattern is to get evidence.
Yep.
That's the way. Now, going back to what I was saying, you're going to have to handle an excuse that might get thrown at you. A response that I might say to Brad would be, Brad, I understand the HSE commitments and the 3:30 traffic. But to keep this position, you need to be on the court 10 minutes before classes start, whether that means leaving school earlier or making another arrangement for transportation. I'll leave it up to you. Can we commit to that for the rest of the term and for next term? That's our response. You've got to be able to handle the excuses, guys, because if you say M5 traffic, all right, fair enough, all good, you've just permitted it, right? The reality is traffic applies to everyone. Why were you early at classes, Sarab, and he wasn't? Traffic is for everybody, right?
Yep.
That's the reality of it. So guys, remember SEER, talk about the standard, provide the evidence, handle and realign the expectation, and R stands for response. Commit them to something that they're going to do that's going to bring them back to the standard. It's a very, very good framework that you can take in and use for your next tough conversation. SEER. Is this helpful, team? This framework, the C framework, is this helpful for when you have your next tough conversation? Fantastic. Remember, what standard are you not happy with? What is the evidence? Realign their expectation and get them to respond back with what they're going to commit to change that and to get them back at the standard. And to be honest with you guys, after a tough conversation, one of two things happen. Firstly, you monitor, and if he consistently arrives early, you praise it publicly. Hey, I want to give a shout out to Brad. Brad wasn't meeting the standards of coming to classes early, and for the last 8 weeks, he showed up to 10 minutes early. Brad, well done on taking feedback on board and coming prepared to class. Now, if Brad doesn't change after a tough conversation like that, and he is still arriving late, Brad shouldn't be on your team. And this is important. I'm going to give you the catch-22. If you keep Brad on your team because you're short-staffed, you are accepting low standards, and eventually that becomes the standards for your entire team. Just want you guys to know that. If you see the standard, you know it's not right, the person isn't changing, and for whatever reason, because you're short-staffed, because you need a body, I don't know, you keep them on board, just know that eventually that standard is going to be for your entire team. So whilst it might pay in the short run to keep this person on board, it's going to bite you in the bum in the long run. That's important. Key. Righto. It's time for a live role-playing session. I'm going to pick two people. One person is going to be the franchisee. The other person is going to be the coach or the employee. The standard is all coaches must bring their coach's manual and review all session plans before the class starts. The situation is for 3 weeks, a coach has not reviewed the plan. You can tell they look confused on the court. They're not running the drills properly, and they're constantly looking up at the other coach to see what they're doing. You can tell they're not been looking at the session plan. Using the C framework, you're gonna sit down with that coach and have a tough conversation after the class. Who wants to volunteer to be the franchisee? Oh, I'm going to have to pick someone. Let's pick, well, everyone started showing their face. Justin, can I have you as the franchisee, please?
Okay, give it a try.
And I'm going to pick the coach. Can I please have Edison? Can you kindly volunteer as the coach that's not meeting the standard?
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
look at Justin. Justin's sweating now. He's moving. He's sweating now. The camera's connected. I can see the beads of sweat coming down. All right, Justin. Now I'm going to give you a bit of context. You're going to use the C framework. You're going to take Edison to SEER. Okay? Go slowly. Again, the standard, the coach must bring the coach's manual and review all the session plan. It's been 3 weeks now. Edison has not reviewed the plan. You can tell they look confused. They can't run the drills properly, and they rely on coaches for help. Here we go.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
Justin. Go for it, my man. It's all yours. I'll leave it here. SEER.
Hey, Coach Edison, how are you?
Hi, Coach Justin. How are you? Good.
Yes. Our standard is like we need to prepare the drill before you come to a class. I didn't see you bring your menus. Did you familiar with the drills we try to coach on the days?
Yeah, actually, I've been doing this job for like 3 years now, Justin. I know the drills in and out, so I don't really need to bring my manual.
But it looks a bit confused because we have the new drills updated. You look like you're confused and you still ask for help for the other coaches. Do you really clear out what the new drills for what you're running today?
Oh, it's been updated then. So yeah, I
Yeah.
probably wasn't aware of that new update, but yeah.
Okay. So this is a new. You will be giving a new coach menu handbook. So please review that and let me know if you have questions. And please try bring that in next class.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank
bringing
you.
on.
We finished?
Finish. Yeah.
Let's give him a clap. Very courageous to do that in front of the group. Well done, guys. It's not easy having a role playing in front of a group. Okay. I've written a couple of points down. What did we like about how Justin handled it?
I feel like he was respectful, but he still came directly to the point in a very professional manner. So it didn't feel like it was personal. And so I guess that stopped the other person from feeling defensive from the beginning.
Yeah, he was very respectful. He was upset and he came across his disappointment about not preparing. And I feel like he was respectful. What else? What's another thing that we liked about how Justin went about it? All right. Let's talk about where Justin can get better at. Where do we think Justin can improve based on the conversation that he had? I've got a couple of points. Does anyone want to share where Justin could have been better? And by the way, Justin, thank you for being a hero. This is good feedback. We're always here to learn. Come on, guys. No, we need another brave shoulder. Justin, where can he have got better? I've got a couple of points out. Feedback is important, guys. You know how I am with feedback. Where can Justin improve for next time?
Maybe I'll be more specific, Justin. Like, yeah, you'll get coaches like us. You know, we've been doing it for a while. Sometimes, you know, you get coaches, let's say, oh yeah, I don't really look at the game plan or the sport plan anymore because, you know, I know what to do, this and that. Maybe be more specific, like this is week 1, we should be doing this, but I saw you doing this and that. So that's why I say you don't look prepared. So yeah, just be more specific because yeah, you'll got coaches like that.
Edison, I wrote that down. That's a fantastic area of improvement. I don't think Justin came in with enough evidence. He just said, have you been checking sports plan? I've noticed you're not running the drills. Remember, Justin, the most important thing is evidence, giving actual dates and times of when the coach looked like they were winging the drills or didn't know what they were doing. So I think coming in with a little bit more evidence, Justin, is going to allow the coach to see exactly like where they got to get better at, but also provide factual evidence. It's not like if you say to someone, for example, hey, have you been checking the sports plan? Well, for the last week, for today, for the last 4 weeks, for the last 6 weeks, you want to make sure you give factual evidence aligned with dates. And I put that down there. I think there could have been more evidence. Great pickup, Edison. Does anyone have any other? I've got 2 more. Does anyone have any other ways that Justin can improve for next time he has his tough conversation? I might add a point here. Kirsten, yes, go.
I feel like towards the end, Justin, getting their response is important as well, just so it doesn't feel one-sided. For example, like adding like, do you think that's something we can like do from here on now, or like, yeah, that way it turns it into like a two-way conversation rather than like a demand, and it's like, yeah, I think getting a response is important. I think in my
So,
opinion.
Kirsten, that's a great pickup, and I had that as one of my points as well. So, Justin, how you ended it is you said, in regards to SEER, you said to them, okay, I want you to make sure you check the playbook for next time, and I want you to review everything moving forward. That's good, but you want the commitment to come from them, because if it comes from them, they're more likely to own it than if you tell them what to do. You don't want to be able to tell them what to do. You want them to come up with the commitment. And if you remember, going back to Brad's example, what did I'll use the exact words that I used. So when I said whether that means leaving for school early, can we commit to that for the rest of the term? You want them to say what they're going to do differently, because if it comes from them, Justin, it's going to be more buy-in than if it comes from you. Does that make sense, Justin? Thanks, Kirsten. Good pickup. And the last thing I want to say, Justin, Edison chucked a really good excuse at you. He said that he's been here for 3 years. I felt like we let that fly. I think if you, going back to this example, you've got new drills coming to the curriculum. This coach obviously thinks that nothing's changed and they know everything. And Edison said he's been here for 3 years. I probably would have addressed that, and I would have said something along the lines of, Justin, I understand you've been, Edison, I understand you've been here for 3 years and you're definitely one of our strongest coaches. However, we've introduced new drills to the curriculum, and I can tell that you're not on top of these new drills because you're still running the old drills. Does that make sense, Justin?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think Edison chucked a really good one, but yeah, we let it fly. I would probably definitely have addressed that, because in Edison's mind, I'm top dog. I've been here for 3 years. I don't got to check sports plan. I don't got to take a coach's manual with me. What for? Awesome. Great job, guys. That's all the notes I had for the role play. Awesome job. Now you've got a framework team, SEER, that you can use and take for your next tough conversations. So team, key takeaways for what to remember. Please use this quote as much as you want. What you permit, you promote. Standards must be written down and embedded into onboarding. Separate the behavior from the person always. Use the C for every tough conversation. Praise what you want. Praise what you want repeated publicly. So the more you praise it publicly, the more chances that behavior is going to be repeated. Okay, so what do you do now? All this is great. What are the 5 things that you can do now? I've put a 5-step action plan for everybody. You guys can get this done in 2 hours. I've consolidated everything into a 5-step action plan. So number 1, this week, do the left and right column exercise. Write down your standards, what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. And don't be vague, be specific. Number 2, before your next hire, embed your standards into your onboarding process. Make a nice graphic if you want. Number 3, before next term, or whenever you can, hold a team meeting announcing your standards to everybody so they all know what they are. So they've got no excuse if they're not meeting them. Number 4, starting now, catch coaches meeting standards. Praise them publicly. And then number 5, next time a standard is broken or is not being met, use the C. Don't avoid the conversation. Use C. And team, that brings us to the end of the presentation. We made it 50 minutes in, and we are rocking and rolling. Now, what I might do, guys, can I just get a bit of feedback? Did we enjoy today's presentation and learn something? And if we don't mind, can we share one takeaway that we learned before we do a last minute Q&A? One takeaway that we learned today, team.
Have the hard conversation at the right time, but have it.
Say it again, Sarab.
Have the hard conversation at the right time. Don't
Yeah.
procrastinate, but have it. It is really important. It will
Just
save
always
you.
remember, Sarab, the conversation that you've been holding off is a conversation that you have to have.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking for. I forgot. Yes, that's the
Fantastic. Anyone else want to share one key takeaway, please? You can come off mute.
I feel like a lot of the times, these standards that we were talking about, it's good that you made us write them, because a lot of the times it's just something that we discuss verbally. It's not something that we sort of consciously focus on. So I guess the first step there, like you mentioned this week, just do the left and the right column. That's like a good starting point, just so it is also ingrained in our heads, and so we can then ingrain them in the coaches' heads.
Yeah, it makes them real, doesn't it, Angelique? When you
Yeah.
write them down, it makes them real. It makes them like tangible. And I'll give you an example. Like I've got 5 core values at the head office company, and to make them even more real, when we start our head office meeting every Monday, somebody spotlights somebody that's done one of the values. They give a behavior. They give an example last week of somebody that demonstrated a value: own it, do what you say, grow or die. There's 5 values, and to make them even real, we get one person to share somebody that met one of those core values. So you got to make them tangible. You got to bring them to life. And if they're in your head, they're just assumptions, really.
I love that, Emil.
Yeah. I've got you got it. Otherwise, it just becomes, something on the back wall that looks pretty.
Yeah.
All right. One key takeaway, team. I'll take one more that anybody wants to share. Key takeaway they learned.
Hi, Emil. So, yeah, as you've mentioned, standards are there to be met, and sometimes standards are going to be broken. So, this process is very helpful in. So next time we would know how are we going to address if a standard is broken.
Exactly right, Luby. As I said in one of my slides, as soon as you announce your standards, get ready for them to be broken. Don't be disappointed if they're broken. It's human nature. But once they are broken, you've got a framework that you can now use to tackle the situation. Lovely, lovely. I might take one more, guys, one more takeaway, then we can wrap it up and continue on with our Thursdays. Kirsten.
Obviously I'm like new to like onboarding coaches. I'm actually in the process of onboarding coaches at the moment. So a key thing I'm taking away is to embed your standards into your onboarding process. Because I feel like if you don't miss that, you can keep them accountable. You can provide evidence
Yeah.
when they do slip up. But yeah, and you're creating a boundary in a way, like you're letting them know that you're not gonna accept, like petty excuses. Like I mean, I know like people have bad days, but yeah.
Exactly right, Kirsten. But remember, it's your standard. It's not my standard. It's your
Yeah.
standard. And also, you're exactly right. You've got to have your standards as part of your onboarding procedure. Because as I said before with Brad, if you haven't made your standards super clear to the person says, yes, I agree, I understand the standards, then when you come time to have that tough conversation, you don't really have any right to have a tough conversation if you didn't make it clear that this is what your standard is.
Mhm.
All right, awesome. Team, that brings us to the end. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hope you guys got a ton of value. Just give me a thumbs up if we got value, one piece of value from today's workshop. Thank you. Mel, got the thumbs up. Thanks, Charles. Thanks, Joe. Good to have you guys on board. Fantastic. Hey, guys, if I want to end by saying, if anybody implements anything, which I would hope you guys do, if you implement any of the standards, if you write them on paper, if you have a C conversation in the next week, I would love for you guys to share it on the franchise group chat. I would love to see this stuff coming to real life. So once you've got your standards written down, if you've got a graphic, if you've got it on a document, please chuck it on the chat. I would love to see what we come up with. And next time you have a C conversation, I would love to hear how it goes. Put it on the chat as well, guys. It'd be good to see it coming into action. Other than that, team, I'll let everybody go. Best of luck with classes starting soon. And I'll talk to you all soon. God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Emil.
You're welcome. See you, Diane. See you, everybody.
See you, Emil.
Bye-bye.